The grand chamber of the Galactic Council stretched upward like the inside of a crystalline mountain. Thousands of species filled the floating platforms that circled the central stage. Their voices created a constant hum of conversation, translation devices turning alien sounds into comprehensible language. At the center of it all stood Ambassador Sarah Chen of Earth, her simple gray suit looking painfully modest compared to the elaborate robes and biological displays around her. She waited patiently for the speaker to acknowledge her petition. Around her she could hear the whispers. Even with translation, mockery sounded the same in any language. The humans again. A Thalxian delegate hissed to his neighbor, his scaled face twisting into what passed for a smile among his kind. How many years has it been? 300 since they crawled out of their gravity well? 312, his companion replied. And they still fly those pathetic chemical rockets. The speaker, a floating mass of luminescent gas contained in a force field, finally pulsed in Chen's direction. The Council recognizes Earth. State your petition, Ambassador. Chen stepped forward. She had done this 17 times before. 17 times in her career alone. Countless others before her. Always the same request. Always the same result. Honored Council, she began, her voice steady and clear. Earth comes before you once again to request protection under the Mutual Defense Accord. For the past decade, human colonies in the outer reaches have suffered increasing raids from pirate fleets. Our defensive capabilities are limited. We ask only for what the Accord promises all member species: protection. The chamber erupted in sounds that the translation devices struggled to process. Laughter, mostly. Some species made clicking sounds, others released pheromones that the sensors identified as amusement. A few remained silent, but their body language spoke volumes. The Thalxian ambassador, Lord Vexthor, rose from his platform. His massive form cast shadows across the chamber floor. The human speaks of defense, he said, his voice booming across the space. Yet what does Earth offer in return? Your ships take months to cross distances we traverse in days. Your weapons are barely sufficient to crack asteroids. Your technology is so primitive that we debated whether to grant you membership at all. More laughter. Chen felt her jaw tighten, but her expression remained neutral. Vexthor continued, clearly enjoying himself. Perhaps the humans should consider surrender to these pirates. At least then they might learn something useful about space travel. He paused for effect. Or perhaps Earth should simply pay tribute. I hear your planet has excellent agriculture. The raiders might accept food shipments in exchange for leaving you alone. The chamber roared with approval. Chen waited for the noise to subside. She had learned patience in her years of service. Humanity had learned patience for far longer. The Council does not find merit in mockery, the speaker said, though its tone suggested otherwise. However, the concerns raised are valid. Earth has contributed little to Council security operations. Your fleet numbers are minimal. Your technology lags behind even the youngest member species. The Mutual Defense Accord requires that members provide mutual defense. What defense can Earth provide to others? Chen took a slow breath. We understand the Council's position, she said quietly. We would ask only that the Council consider our request on its own merits. Human colonies are being destroyed. Families are dying. We have nowhere else to turn. You have your own fleet, a voice called from the upper platforms. Use it. Our fleet is designed for exploration and cargo transport, Chen replied. Not military operations. Exactly, Vexthor said with satisfaction. The humans are weak. They have always been weak. They will always be weak. The Council cannot waste resources protecting every species too feeble to protect themselves. I call for a vote. Deny Earth's petition and recommend they either surrender to the raiders or relocate to safer territories. The speaker pulsed. Very well. All in favor of denying Earth's petition? Platforms lit up across the chamber. Chen counted them without moving her eyes. 3,412 votes. Nearly unanimous. Only a handful of smaller species abstained, the ones who remembered being in similar positions before they proved their worth. The petition is denied, the speaker announced. Earth is advised to seek alternative solutions. This council stands adjourned. The platforms began to disperse. Delegates floated or walked or slithered toward the exits, already chatting about other matters. The human problem had been dealt with. It was time for more important business. Chen gathered her materials slowly. She felt eyes on her, could hear the whispers. The pitiful humans, the weakest link in the council chain. 300 years of membership and they still couldn't build a proper warship. She made her way to the exit corridor, her security detail falling in behind her. They were quiet, professional. They had heard this all before, too. "Ambassador," one of them said softly. "Are you all right?" Chen smiled. It was a genuine smile, the first she had allowed herself since entering the chamber. "I'm fine, Marcus. Better than fine, actually." He looked confused but said nothing more. They walked through the corridor toward the diplomatic shuttle bays. Around them, other delegates continued their conversations, some still chuckling about the human petition. When they reached the secured communications room in Earth's shuttle, Chen dismissed her guards. She sat down at the console and entered her access codes. The encryption software ran through 17 layers of security before opening the channel. Admiral James Kowalski appeared on the screen. He was an older man, his face weathered by decades of service, but his eyes were sharp and alert. "How did it go?" he asked. "Exactly as expected," Chen replied. "Denied, unanimous vote. Vexthor was particularly cruel about it." "Vexthor," Kowalski repeated, making a note on his tablet. "The Thalxian." "Yes. He suggested we surrender or pay tribute in agricultural products." Kowalski's expression darkened. "I see." Chen leaned back in her chair. "James, they have no idea. 300 years and they still have no idea." "That was always the plan," Kowalski said. "The longer they underestimate us, the more time we have to prepare. Are we ready?" Chen asked. Kowalski was quiet for a moment. Then he nodded. "The final fleet elements moved into position last week. Construction is complete. All systems are operational. We've been ready for months, Sarah. We were just waiting for this. For them to deny us one last time. For them to remove any moral ambiguity." Kowalski corrected. "We asked for help." They laughed. "We asked for protection under their own laws. They mocked us. Now we have the right to protect ourselves. By any means necessary." Chen felt a weight lift from her shoulders. 300 years of planning. 300 years of being the joke of the galaxy. 300 years of building in secret while everyone watched the obvious and missed everything important. "Send the authorization codes," she said. "Protocol 7 is now active." Kowalski's face showed something between satisfaction and sadness. "Are you sure?" "Once this starts, there's no going back." "They were given every chance," Chen said firmly. "They chose mockery over mercy. They chose arrogance over justice. They made their choice. Now we make ours." "Understood, Ambassador." "Authorization received and confirmed. Fleet Command is transmitting orders now." He paused. "History will remember this day." "Yes," Chen agreed. "But not the way the Council thinks." The transmission ended. Chen sat alone in the communications room, listening to the hum of the shuttle systems. Somewhere far away, orders were being received. Ships were moving into position. Plans 3 centuries in the making were beginning to unfold. She thought about Vexthor's laughter. She thought about the Council's dismissal. She thought about all the human families on those distant colonies, waiting for help that the galaxy refused to provide. They had laughed at Earth for too long. Now they would learn what humanity had been building while they laughed. Lord Vexthor stood on the observation deck of his palace, looking out over the capital city of Thalxian Prime. The triple moons hung in the sky like jewels, and below them, the city glowed with millions of lights. His world was beautiful, powerful, and completely secure, or so he believed. The celebration had been magnificent. The Council's rejection of Earth's petition called for proper festivity, and Vexthor never did anything small. Thousands of guests had attended the grand feast at the palace. They had eaten, drunk, and laughed about the pathetic humans and their desperate pleas for protection. "They actually thought we would help them," Vexthor had said during his speech, to thunderous applause. 300 years in space and they still fly around in tin cans powered by explosions. "My children's toys move faster than their warships." The crowd had loved it. The recordings would be transmitted across the galaxy. Vexthor would be celebrated for putting the humans in their place once again. That had been 3 days ago. Now as he stood looking at his perfect city under his perfect moon, something felt wrong. "My lord." His aide approached hesitantly. "The astronomy department is reporting unusual readings." Vexthor barely glanced at her. "Unusual how?" "Gravitational distortions at the edge of the system. They appeared approximately 6 hours ago. The readings are growing stronger." "Space is full of gravitational distortions," Vexthor said dismissively. "Probably a rogue planetoid passing through." Tell them to track it and report if it poses any collision risk. They say it's not moving like a natural object, my lord. The patterns are too regular, too deliberate. Something in her tone made Vexthor turn. Show me. The aide held up a data tablet. The readings made no sense. Whatever was out there was massive. Multiple massive objects, actually, and they were spreading out in a pattern that looked almost like a formation. Get me the Defense Fleet Commander, Vexthor ordered. Now. Within minutes, Commander Jalix appeared on the communication screen. My lord, we are already investigating. Long-range sensors have detected multiple objects at the system's edge. We are moving ships to intercept and identify. How many objects? Vexthor asked. Current count is over 200, my lord. The number keeps increasing. 200 objects at the edge of the system, large enough to create gravitational readings. Moving in formation. Vexthor felt his first twinge of concern. Pirates? Too organized. Too large. We are attempting to get visual confirmation now. The screen split to show the sensor feed. At first, Vexthor saw only stars. Then shapes began to resolve. Large shapes. Ships, if they were ships, unlike anything he had seen before. They were dark, almost invisible against space itself. Only their movement against the background stars revealed them. What are those? Vexthor breathed. Unknown, my lord. They are not matching any known vessel configuration in our database. They are positioning themselves around the system in a sphere pattern, attempting to hail them now. The communication attempt brought no response. The ships continued their slow, methodical movement. More kept appearing from whatever stealth technology had hidden them. The count was now over 500. Then the sky began to change. Vexthor noticed it first as a dimming of the star field visible through the palace windows. He thought it was his imagination until the aide gasped. The sun, she whispered. Vexthor ran to the window. The sun, the glorious yellow star that had warmed Thalcian Prime for 4 billion years, was darkening. Not like an eclipse, not like clouds. It was as if something was surrounding it, blocking its light piece by piece. Across the city, emergency alerts began to sound. People poured into the streets, looking up at the impossible sight. Their sun was disappearing. Commander, Vexthor shouted at the screen. What is happening? Jalix looked terrified. My lord, the objects are deploying some kind of swarm around our star. Millions of small units. They are spreading across the sun's surface like a blanket. Sensors indicate they are absorbing the solar radiation before it can reach us. A Dyson swarm, Vexthor said, his voice hollow. Someone is building a Dyson swarm around our sun. In hours, Jalix added. My lord, whoever is doing this has technology centuries beyond our own. They brought the components here. They are assembling it in real time. The sky continued to darken. The temperature began to drop. Emergency power systems activated across the planet as solar collectors failed. In space, the mysterious ships held their positions silent and dark. Fire on them, Vexthor ordered. Destroy those ships. My lord, we don't know who they are. This could be an act of war. They are blocking our sun. Fire! The defense fleet opened fire. Vexthor watched on the tactical display as energy weapons and missiles streaked toward the nearest ships. The weapons reached their targets and simply dissipated. The ships had shields that absorbed the attacks without even flickering. Then for the first time, the mysterious fleet responded. Not with weapons. With light. Every ship activated spotlights that illuminated their hulls. In the darkness of space, symbols became visible on their sides. Symbols that made Vexthor's blood run cold. The flag of Earth. The simple blue and white globe that they had all mocked. On ships that made the Council's finest warships look like children's toys. Open a channel, Vexthor demanded. All frequencies. I will speak with whoever commands this fleet. The communication systems broadcast his message across the system. This is Lord Vexthor of Thalcian Prime. You are committing an act of war against a Council member world. Identify yourselves and state your intentions immediately. Silence. The human ships made no response. They simply held position as their swarm continued to consume the sun. Hours passed. The temperature dropped further. The planet's automated systems diverted power to heating. Food production facilities began to fail as crops required light to grow. Panic spread through the population. They had never experienced cold like this. Never experienced true darkness. Vexthor tried everything. Threats, pleas, offers of negotiation. The humans gave no response. They simply watched in silence as Thalxion Prime descended into frozen night. On the second day, riots broke out in the capital. People were demanding answers, demanding protection, demanding their sun back. The defense fleet attempted to approach the swarm itself, to physically dismantle it. The human ships moved to intercept, not firing, just blocking the way. Their shields were impenetrable. Their ships were too fast to evade. On the third day, exactly 72 hours after the first ship had appeared, the swarm began to retract. The solar collectors folded back on themselves, disappearing into cargo bays on the massive human vessels. Light returned to Thalxion Prime. Warmth followed. The sun emerged from its artificial eclipse unchanged and eternal. The human ships gathered their swarm components with perfect efficiency. Within 2 hours, they were gone. They jumped to faster-than-light travel in perfect unison, leaving the Thalxion system as mysteriously as they had arrived. Vexthor stood alone in his observation deck, watching the normal sky return. His perfect city was in chaos below. The damage from 3 days of darkness would take months to repair. The psychological damage might never heal. His aide approached quietly. "My lord, there is one more thing." "What?" Vexthor asked tiredly. "The largest moon. Look at the largest moon." Vexthor pulled up the telescope feed. The moon's surface appeared normal at first. Then he saw it. Carved into the lunar surface, letters hundreds of miles tall, visible from the planet below. Written in perfect Thalxion script, "You were warned." Vexthor read the message again and again. 3 simple words. Cut into the moon by technology beyond his comprehension. A permanent reminder that would hang in the sky for millions of years, sir. His aide said softly. Who were they? How did Earth do this? Vexthor thought about the council session. The laughter. His own speech about human weakness. The primitive ships and pathetic technology. All of it a lie, or all of it irrelevant compared to what humanity had actually been building. Get me Ambassador Chen, Vexthor said finally. Wherever she is, find her. I need to speak with her immediately. Yes, my lord. What should I say to her? Vexthor looked at the message on the moon. 3 days of darkness. No shots fired. No lives lost. Just a demonstration. A message. A warning. Tell her, he said slowly, that I wish to apologize. The aide's eyes widened, but she said nothing. She simply bowed and left to carry out the order. Vexthor remained at the window, staring at the moon, wondering what else humanity had been hiding while the galaxy laughed at them. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session for the 4th time in 6 months. The chamber that had been filled with laughter during Earth's last petition was now heavy with tension and fear. Ambassador Chen sat in the human delegation section, her expression neutral as she watched the chaos unfold around her. This is unprecedented, Speaker Velkan announced, its gaseous form pulsing with agitation. 4 more worlds have experienced these eclipses. The pattern is clear and disturbing. On the central display, images appeared from each affected world. Crixon 7 darkened for 72 hours. Forgath Prime, its twin suns blocked by human swarms. The Pelion colonies frozen in artificial night. Matau Station, its star dimmed to a fraction of its normal output. Each time the same method. Each time exactly 72 hours. Each time a message left behind. You were warned. The Crixon ambassador stood, her crystalline body reflecting the chamber lights in fractured patterns. My people are traumatized. Our economy has suffered massive disruption. Food supplies are uncertain. And worst of all, we live in constant fear that the humans will return. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Fear had replaced mockery. Uncertainty had replaced confidence. What does Earth want? Demanded Ambassador Thrall of Vorgath, his tentacles writhing with agitation. Are these attacks? Acts of war? What is the purpose? All eyes turned to Chen. She rose slowly, her movements deliberate and calm. These are not attacks, she said simply. They are demonstrations. Demonstrations of what? Thrall shouted. Your ability to commit terror? Demonstrations of capability, Chen replied. For 300 years, Earth has requested assistance through proper council channels. For 300 years, we have been denied, mocked, told we were too weak, too primitive, too worthless to deserve protection under the Mutual Defense Accord. That is not entirely accurate. Speaker Velkan interjected. Is it not? Chen pulled up recordings from past council sessions, videos of delegates laughing at human petitions, audio of speeches ridiculing Earth's technology, transcripts of dismissive votes. These are from the official council archives. Should I play them? Silence filled the chamber. Even those who had not participated in the mockery looked uncomfortable. They had all heard the jokes. They had all seen humanity as beneath notice. Chen continued. The worlds that have experienced eclipses all share one common factor. Each voted against Earth's most recent petition. Each had delegates who publicly mocked human requests for assistance. These demonstrations are directed at those who chose to laugh instead of listen. So this is revenge? The Pelian delegate asked, his voice hollow. This is education, Chen corrected. You believed humanity was weak because our publicly known fleet consists of slow exploration vessels. You believed we had no military capability because we never displayed it. You believed we were primitive because we chose not to show you otherwise. She gestured to the display where new images appeared. These were not from planets but from deep space. Human ships, hundreds of them, caught by various sensor arrays across the galaxy. Ships that had never been registered with the Council. Ships that had no official existence in any database. For 3 centuries, Chen said, humanity has been building. While you watched our exploration fleet and laughed, we were constructing shipyards in deep space that dwarf anything the Council has created. While you mocked our technology, we were studying every species in the galaxy, learning from your innovations, combining them with our own. While you dismissed us as irrelevant, we were preparing for exactly this moment. A Thalxian delegate, not Vexthor, who had been notably absent from recent sessions, spoke up. You have been spying on us, learning our secrets. We have been observing, Chen replied, just as every council species observes others. The difference is that we learned from what we saw. We improved. We adapted. We built. More images flashed across the display. Mobile construction platforms the size of moons. Dyson swarm components numbered in the billions. Shipyards carved into asteroids. Mining operations on the edges of systems where no one ever looked. 300 years of secret infrastructure revealed in minutes. The generation ships you mocked, Chen said, were not warships. They were construction vessels. Every slow journey they made was building our network across the galaxy. Every system they visited was prepared for future operations. We have been patient. We have been methodical. We have been invisible. The Crixan ambassador's light refracted in patterns that suggested distress. What do you want from us? What is Earth's demand? The same thing we have always wanted, Chen replied. Respect. Fair treatment. Protection for the weak instead of mockery. Earth does not seek to dominate the Council. We seek to be treated as equals, and by threatening our worlds? Thrall challenged. No shots have been fired, Chen pointed out. No lives have been lost. Property damage has been minimal. Mostly from panic rather than our actions. We have demonstrated capability without employing violence. That was deliberate. We could have done far worse. The implication hung in the air like poison. If humanity could block out stars, what else could they do? If they could build Dyson swarms in hours, what weapons might they possess? If they had been hiding this much capability, what else remained hidden? This is extortion, a voice called from the upper platforms. This is reality. Chen countered. For 300 years you held all the power. You used it to ignore us, diminish us, laugh at us. Now the power dynamic has changed. We are offering you a choice. Acknowledge that change and work with us as partners, or continue as you have been and face the consequences. Speaker Velkan pulsed rapidly, a sign of deep thought among its species. The Council requires time to consider this situation. We must consult with our home governments. This is not a decision that can be made hastily. Take your time, Chen said, but know that while you deliberate, humanity continues to prepare. We have identified 73 additional worlds whose delegates have publicly advocated for Earth's continued marginalization. Should the Council choose confrontation over cooperation, we have plans for each of them. The threat was clear and terrifying. 73 more eclipses, 73 more demonstrations. The economic and psychological damage would be catastrophic. Is there no other way? The Pelian delegate asked quietly. Must we live under this threat? Chen's expression softened slightly. The threat exists only for those who threaten us. The Pelian colonies experienced an eclipse because your government voted to deny protection to human colonists under pirate attack. 12 human settlements were destroyed while your delegate argued that humans deserved their fate for being weak. Those colonists had families, children. They are all dead now because the council chose politics over mercy. The Pelian delegate sat down heavily. Others looked away. The votes had seemed so meaningless at the time. The human colonists so distant and irrelevant. Now each denied petition felt like blood on their hands. What happens next? Speaker Velkan asked. That depends on the council, Chen replied. Humanity is willing to discuss new terms for our participation in galactic affairs. We are willing to share some of our technology, under appropriate conditions. We are willing to protect weaker species that the council has neglected, but we will not be dismissed ever again. We will not be the galaxy's joke. That era has ended. She sat down, her statement complete. The chamber erupted in debate. Some called for military action against Earth. Others advocated immediate negotiation. Still others argued for expelling humanity from the council entirely. Chen listened to it all with calm patience. They did not understand yet. They thought this was about Earth's pride, about revenge for past insults. They thought humanity could be negotiated with like any other species. They were wrong. What they could not see, what their sensors could not detect, was the true scale of human preparation. The fleets they had revealed were impressive, but represented only a fraction of Earth's actual military capacity. The demonstrations had been designed to intimidate without revealing everything. Let them debate, Chen thought. Let them argue and threaten and posture. Meanwhile, humanity's deep space observation posts continued to watch. Construction continued in the dark spaces between stars. Plans within plans unfolded on timescales measured in centuries, not years. The council thought this was the end of the revelation. They believed they had seen humanity's full hand. That belief was exactly what Earth's planners had intended. The best secrets were the ones no one knew to look for. Chen's tablet chimed softly. A coded message from Fleet Command. She read it without changing expression. The message was simple. Next phase ready. Awaiting authorization. She tapped a brief reply. Stand by. Not yet, she thought. Let them panic a bit more. Let them realize the scope of their mistake. Then, when they were truly desperate for answers, humanity would reveal the next truth. The galaxy had ridiculed Earth for too long. Now they would learn that humanity's greatest strength was not their technology or their military might. It was their ability to think in time frames that other species could barely imagine. 300 years was nothing to a species that had crawled out of caves and reached the stars in 10,000 years. The Council Armada assembled at Rally Point Theta, a neutral zone 3 light years from Earth's solar system. 10,000 warships from 40 different species, the largest military fleet ever gathered in galactic history. Their combined firepower could level continents. Their shields could withstand the output of entire stars. Their commanders were the best tactical minds the Council could field. Grand Admiral Thexcal surveyed his fleet from the bridge of the dreadnought Relentless Justice. He was a Vorgath, his species known throughout the galaxy for military excellence. He had fought in 16 campaigns and never lost a battle. His tactical treatises were studied in war colleges across known space. Status report, he commanded. His tactical officer, a Crixon named Velsa, consulted her displays. All ships report ready, Admiral. Weapons charged. Shields at maximum. Scout ships have plotted multiple approach vectors to Earth's system. And the human fleet? Thexcal asked. No sign of them, sir. Long-range sensors detect nothing unusual. Either they are not aware of our assembly, or they are waiting in their home system. Thexcal's tentacles curled with satisfaction. They are waiting. Humanity has grown arrogant with their little demonstrations. They have forgotten that true military power is not about intimidation. It is about the will to use force. The Council had debated for weeks after Ambassador Chen's speech. Some had wanted negotiation. Others had argued for economic sanctions. But the military faction had won. Humanity needed to be taught a lesson. One decisive strike against their homeworld would end this nonsense about human superiority. The Council would reclaim its authority, and Earth would be forced to surrender its secret fleets or face annihilation. Begin the advance, Thexcal ordered. All ships, formation Delta 7. We jump in 3 waves. I want overwhelming force at every entry point. The Armada began to move. 10,000 ships arranging themselves into the complex patterns required for coordinated faster-than-light travel. It took an hour, but finally the formation was perfect. Wave 1, jump on my mark, Texcal said. Mark. 3,000 ships vanished from normal space, traveling faster than light toward Earth's coordinates. They would emerge at the system's edge, establish a perimeter, and wait for the second wave. Standard military doctrine, proven effective in 100 conflicts. The jump took 17 minutes. When relentless justice emerged back into normal space, Texcal immediately ordered a sensor sweep. Report, he demanded. Velsa stared at her instruments in confusion. Admiral, I am detecting unusual readings. Multiple gravitational signatures. They are all around us. From what? Where is the human fleet? I do not know, sir. The signatures are there, but nothing is visible. It is as if space itself is distorted in thousands of locations around our formation. Texcal felt his first twinge of concern. Active sensors. Full spectrum scan. The fleet's powerful sensors swept the space around them. For several seconds they found nothing but empty space and the distant sun of Earth's system. Then, as if reality itself was shifting, ships began to appear. Not hundreds of ships, not thousands. Tens of thousands of ships materialized from stealth systems so advanced that even active sensors had failed to penetrate them, until they chose to reveal themselves. The human fleet had been there all along, waiting in silence, invisible and patient. Count, Texcal ordered, his voice tight. Still counting, sir. Current number exceeds 30,000 and rising. Admiral, they have us surrounded. Every approach vector is blocked. The display showed the tactical situation in stark clarity. The Council's first wave was trapped in a sphere of human warships. Every direction of escape or advance was covered by overlapping fields of fire. How did they know? Texcal whispered. How did they know our exact coordinates? His communication officer spoke up, her voice shaking. Admiral, we are receiving a transmission. All frequencies. Audio and visual. Put it through. The main display changed to show a human woman in military uniform. She was older, perhaps 60 by human standards, with gray hair and sharp eyes that had seen too many battles. Her uniform bore symbols that Texcal's computer identified as Fleet Admiral rank. I am Admiral Jackson, she said, her voice calm and professional. You are trespassing in human-controlled space with obvious hostile intent. Your fleet will power down weapons and shields immediately. Any ship that fails to comply will be disabled. This is Grand Admiral Texcal of the Council Armada, he replied, keeping his voice steady despite his racing thoughts. We are here under Council authority to address human aggression against member worlds. We demand that Earth surrender its military assets and submit to Council oversight. Jackson smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. You demand? Admiral, you are not in a position to demand anything. Look at your tactical display. Really look at it, Texcal did. The human fleet was not just surrounding them. Each human ship was positioned perfectly to cover 3 or 4 Council vessels. The formation was so precise it could only have been planned in advance. They had known. Somehow humanity had known the exact timing and location of the Council fleet's arrival. We have been watching you assemble for weeks, Jackson said, confirming his fears. We have observation posts near every major Council shipyard. We knew you were coming before your own fleet commanders received their orders. Did you really think you could move 10,000 warships without us noticing? You have been spying on Council military operations, Texcal said, trying to regain some authority. That is an act of war. No, Admiral. What you are doing right now is an act of war. You brought an invasion fleet to our home system. We are simply defending ourselves. She paused. The question is, how much will this defense cost you? We outnumber you, Texcal pointed out, though the words felt hollow. 3 waves. 10,000 ships total. You cannot have enough vessels to stop us all, can't we? Jackson made a gesture and the display split to show multiple sensor feeds. The second and third waves of the Council fleet were emerging from faster-than-light travel at their designated coordinates. Each wave was also surrounded by human ships that had been waiting invisible and silent. We have you all, Admiral. Every ship. Every wave. All of you are exactly where we want you to be. Texcal's tactical mind was working frantically. This level of intelligence gathering was beyond anything the Council thought humans capable of. The stealth technology alone represented a quantum leap ahead of Council science, and the fleet size suggested construction capabilities that shouldn't be possible. What are you? He asked quietly. We are what you made us, Jackson replied. For 300 years the Council told us we were primitive, weak, irrelevant, So we stayed quiet and learned. We watched every species in the galaxy. We studied your technologies, your tactics, your weaknesses. We took the best innovations from all of you and combined them with our own ideas. The display changed again, showing human ships in detail. Thexcal could see elements from dozens of different species designs. Thalxian shield generators, Crixan weapon systems, Vorgath armor plating, all integrated into hull designs that were uniquely human. They had stolen nothing. They had learned everything. Your faster-than-light drives, Jackson continued, are based on Pelion theories that we improved upon. Your sensors use Crixan crystals that we learned to manufacture ourselves. Your weapons draw on power generation techniques from 6 different species. You gave us all the pieces. We just put them together in ways you never imagined. You have violated intellectual property rights of every council species, Thexcal tried. Jackson laughed. You're concerned about intellectual property while sitting in an invasion fleet? Admiral, let's be honest with each other. You came here to destroy us, to teach us our place, to remind us that the council's authority is absolute. Well, here is a lesson for you. Authority without the power to enforce it is just arrogance. Fire, Thexcal ordered suddenly. All ships fire at will. It was desperation, but he had to try. 10,000 council warships opened fire simultaneously. Energy weapons, missiles, particle beams, everything they had, all directed at the human fleet. The human ship's shields absorbed the barrage without even flickering. Not one attack penetrated. Not one human vessel was damaged. The return fire was even more shocking. The humans did not use conventional weapons. Instead, they fired focused electromagnetic pulses that bypassed shields entirely and struck the council ship's power systems directly. In less than 30 seconds, the entire first wave of the council fleet went dark. Power systems failed. Shields collapsed. Life support switched to backup systems. 3,000 warships rendered helpless without a single ship destroyed. As I said, Jackson's voice came through the emergency communication channels. We will disable any ship that does not comply. Admiral, I am giving you one chance. Order your fleet to stand down completely. Power everything down, or we disable all 10,000 ships and take them as prizes of war. Thexcal looked at his dark control panels, his helpless fleet, his ruined invasion. He thought about the military academies that had taught him everything he knew. He thought about the 16 campaigns he had won through superior tactics and firepower. He thought about the Council's confidence that humanity could be crushed like any other upstart species. They had been so very wrong. The Council delegation arrived at Earth's solar system 6 weeks after the fleet's capture. They came in a small diplomatic vessel, unarmed and broadcasting peaceful intentions on all frequencies. They had learned the value of humility. Ambassador Chen met them at the Jupiter station, humanity's primary diplomatic facility. The station itself was a statement. It orbited Jupiter's largest moon and had been constructed using the same technology that had built the Dyson swarms. The Council delegates stared at it through their viewports with a mixture of awe and fear. If this was just a diplomatic station, what were humanity's real military installations like? Speaker Velkon led the delegation. Beside it were representatives from the Thalaxian Empire, the Crixan Collective, the Vorgath Alliance, and a dozen other major powers. They were brought to a conference room with windows that looked out over Jupiter's swirling surface. The view was magnificent and intimidating, a reminder that humanity called this dangerous giant home. "Thank you for coming," Chen said as they settled into seats designed for various body types. "I know this was not an easy decision for the Council." "We had little choice," Velkon pulsed. "You hold our fleet. You have demonstrated capabilities that make conventional military responses impossible, and you have made it clear that you will not tolerate dismissal any longer." "True," Chen agreed, "but you still had the choice to come here in peace. That choice matters." A Thalxian delegate, Lord Carthex, spoke up. His scales were duller than Vexthor's had been, his manner more subdued. "What are Earth's terms? What must we do to regain our fleet and avoid further eclipses?" "Before we discuss terms," Chen said, "there is something you need to understand, something that explains why humanity has prepared so extensively, something that changes the context of everything that has happened." She activated the central display. It showed a map of the galaxy, the familiar spiral arms and clusters that every species knew. Then the map expanded, showing the galactic rim and the space beyond. For the past 70 years, Chen explained, human deep space exploration vessels have been surveying the galactic rim. We sent ships to regions that no Council species had investigated because they were considered too remote, too dangerous, too pointless. We went because we have always been curious about what lies beyond the horizon. The display zoomed in on a specific region, showing the dark space between galaxies. What we found was disturbing. Evidence of ancient battles, debris fields from wars fought millions of years ago, and something else. The image changed to show strange structures floating in the void. They were enormous, clearly artificial, and completely unlike anything Council species had built. We call them the Harvesters, Chen continued. We do not know what species built them or what they were originally designed for. What we do know is that they are automated, they are self-replicating, and they are moving toward the galactic rim. Toward us. Velkon's glow flickered with concern. How long until they arrive? Based on their current speed, between 80 and 100 years. Maybe less if they accelerate. They strip solar systems of all resources, consume planets, and move on. We have observed them destroying several dead systems already. They do not negotiate. They do not communicate. They simply harvest. The room fell silent. Every delegate was staring at the display, at the images of mechanical horrors consuming entire worlds. You are telling us this now? Carthex demanded. You have known for decades and said nothing to the Council? We tried, Chen replied quietly. 12 years ago, Earth submitted a report to the Council Science Commission. We provided all our data, all our observations, all our projections. The report was dismissed as human paranoia. Several commissioners suggested we had fabricated the evidence to gain attention. One actually laughed during the presentation. She pulled up the official records. The dismissal was there in writing. The mockery was documented. The Council had been warned and had chosen to ignore it. So we stopped trying to convince you, Chen said. Instead, we prepared. Every Dyson swarm we built can be converted into a weapon platform. Every deep space shipyard can produce warships. Every colony we established was positioned to serve as a forward defense point. We have been building a defensive network around the galaxy for 70 years, and the Council never noticed because you were too busy laughing at us. Admiral Jackson entered the conference room, her uniform pristine, her bearing military perfect. The fleet you sent to attack us was impressive by Council standards, but it would last approximately 14 minutes against a harvester swarm. We have run the simulations thousands of times. Your technology, your tactics, your entire military doctrine is designed to fight other organic species. The harvesters do not think like you do. They do not fear death. They do not negotiate. They simply consume. And human forces would fare better? A Pelion delegate asked skeptically. Yes, Jackson replied simply, because we have been designing weapons specifically to fight them for decades. We have studied their movement patterns, their resource gathering techniques, their structural weaknesses. We have built fleets that can engage them in deep space away from inhabited systems. We have developed contingency plans for every scenario we can imagine. She pulled up new images. Human warships unlike anything the Council had seen before. Weapons that looked designed to shred mechanical constructs rather than penetrate organic ship hulls. Tactics that assumed no possibility of surrender or retreat. The demonstrations we performed on Council worlds, Jackson continued, were not just about revenge or intimidation. They were proof of concept. We can move massive fleets silently. We can block out stars. We can disable enemy vessels without destroying them. All of these capabilities will be necessary when the harvesters arrive. Chen leaned forward. Here is the truth that the Council needs to understand. Earth did not prepare for war with you. We prepared for war with them. The fleet you encountered was not our full military force. It was not even close. Most of our actual military assets are positioned at the galactic rim, watching, waiting, building. Why not tell us this from the beginning? Velkon asked. Why the secrecy? Because you would not have believed us, Chen replied. And even if you had, you would have tried to take control. The Council would have demanded oversight of human military operations. You would have insisted on joint command. You would have slowed everything down with committees and debates and political maneuvering. We could not afford that. This threat is too important. She stood and walked to the window, looking out at Jupiter. 300 years ago, humanity joined the Galactic Council expecting partnership and mutual support. Instead, we found arrogance and dismissal. You made us into something we never intended to be. You forced us to become secretive, militaristic, and suspicious, but in doing so you gave us the freedom to prepare for what is coming without interference. Carthex processed this for a long moment. So the eclipses, the fleet capture, all of it was to force us to take you seriously? Yes, Chen admitted. We needed the Council to understand that humanity is not weak, that we have capabilities you cannot ignore, that when we warn you about a threat you need to listen. The next time we tell you something important, you will remember what happened when you dismissed us. This sounds like blackmail, the Pelion delegate said. This is reality, Jackson corrected. In 80 years, maybe less, the Harvesters will reach the galactic rim. When they do, every species in the galaxy will be fighting for survival. The Council can either work with us now, benefit from our preparations, and help us build a unified defense, or you can continue as you have been and face the Harvesters alone. With what remains of your captured fleet, a Vorgath delegate added bitterly. Your fleet will be returned, Chen said, minus certain weapon systems that we need to study and replicate. Consider it a technology transfer. You will get your ships back and we will get the ability to equip more vessels with Council standard weapons. Fair trade. Nothing about this is fair, Carthex said. No, Chen agreed. It is not. But life is rarely fair. The universe does not care about our sense of justice. The Harvesters certainly do not care. What matters now is whether the Council can put aside pride and work with us, or whether you will let arrogance doom every species in the galaxy. Belkan pulsed slowly, thinking. What are you proposing specifically? A new relationship, Chen replied. Earth takes responsibility for coordinating galactic defense against the Harvester threat. We share our technology, our intelligence, our strategic planning. In exchange, the Council provides resources, support, and most importantly, respect. No more mockery. No more dismissal. When humanity speaks, you listen. When we request assistance, you provide it. Equal partners working toward mutual survival. And if we refuse? Carthex asked. Jackson smiled coldly. Then we defend ourselves and let the Harvesters deal with the Council. We have enough resources and preparation to protect human space. Your space? That is your problem. You would abandon the galaxy? Velkan asked, shocked. You abandoned us first, Chen replied. Every time you denied our petitions. Every time you laughed at our warnings. Every time you dismissed our worth. You made it clear that the Council does not care about humanity. Why should we care about you?